Hello everyone, it's Carol here at Collage Journals. Thanks for joining me as always. So I'm going to do a Margarete Miller collage today and I'm going to work on assignment 23. I've got the prompts here and I've got the pieces that I'm going to use here and off to one side just to my right here. So the first prompt is a key. So I've got this little one here and I fussy cut out just an image that I saw in a magazine. It was pretty delicate, so I've just given it a coating over the top of some glossy accents. That's why it was on this piece of paper here whilst it was drying, but it's absolutely dry now and I'm going to use that. The next prompt is a building. So I've got this image which I believe is supposed to represent a Cinderella's palace at Disneyland. Never been, so I can't comment on that. So I've got that one. White space. Well, this is what I normally work on when I'm creating my collages. I use this as my background piece. Now I'm not going to rely on this as my white space. I've got another idea for that. So I'm just going to put this to one side. I've got a piece of the same cardstock. I am going to stamp this stamp onto my white cardstock. I'll put all the information about any products I use, and that will include this stamp set, in the description box below the video, everybody, so don't worry about that. So as I say, I'm going to stamp this onto this white cardstock with black soot distress ink, and then I'm going to quickly heat emboss it with this Stampin' Stuff embossing powder, and this one's Midnight Black, which is opaque. So I'm going to do that for my white space to hit that prompt. The next prompt is something magical. Let me bring in another little item that I fussy cut. So as you can see, I've got Mickey Mouse there dressed up as a wizard. Wizards are magical, and I think Disneyland and Mickey Mouse are all magical. So that's why I've chosen him, and obviously why I've chosen Cinderella's palace, just to get this kind of Disney theme going on. An office supply, well, to me, the first thing I always think about being a junk journaler is a tag. So that's what I'm going for. I've got this inventory tag, and the reason I've chosen it particularly, apart from its size, is the fact that it's got a number in red top and bottom, and that will pick up the red on Mickey's wizard gown there. And the next thing, or the final prompt, is tissue paper. So let me lift that out. I had some just plain blue tissue paper in amongst my wrapping paper. I lifted it out, thought it was a little bit too plain, so I've been playing with it. So I've got these two pieces here, which were originally this size, but they split. All I did with this piece was to spray it with some bleach to see what sort of effect I could get out of it, and I have to say it's absolutely lovely. I really like that, and if I don't use it on this project, because I think most of it is going to be covered up, if I don't use it on this project, then I'll certainly be using it on another project. And the other piece that I played with was this piece, and all I've done with this is to spray it with Distress Oxide spray in Speckled Egg. I think this is probably going to be the piece that I play with today. It is cut to almost the same size as my working area on my white background piece. Not quite, it's narrower on either side, but as always, I may well trim it down even further. I do want to see what this looks like on here as well, and actually I could almost go with both of them really. I'm not going to, but just in my head I'm thinking, well, yes, I could actually go with both of those. Either will work. Okay, so first things first, as I've mentioned to you, I want to use this stamp here, and I want to stamp and emboss it on this white card. So I'm going to go away and do that, and I'll come back when that's done. So I've cut out my stamped image, and initially I've cut around the outside of the lines, but I might find I need to reduce the size a little bit more, in which case I will cut inside the lines and just leave the word pop on my white space. So I'm going to see how that goes for the moment, and just pop my backgrounds on here and have a little bit of a play. So this is the one I think is going to work best. So let me bring in my image, something like that maybe, and then I've got to get my next piece in, which is a tag. And actually, when I was spraying this with the speckled egg, I actually got it onto the tag itself, so at least I colour match with that. So perhaps do something like that. I'd like to keep it inside this, in which case I'd need to trim that down some more to get this in, but for now I'm just kind of getting a rough placement. I've got my Mickey here, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit, and that will give me an indication of how much I need to chop off here, top and bottom. And I can use this line on the tag down here to ground Mickey. If I pull Mickey over that way, it doesn't matter if he's going outside the blue tissue paper, and it leaves that red and this red showing next to that. The other thing I thought I could do is just have this on here somewhere. Now that's obscuring most of that image, which is a shame. So I'm going to pull this down some more. Can't really trim off any more of the top there. And if I want Mickey grounded on this tag, then it has to come down. I could move Mickey that way and have him just below that line. Let's have a look. In which case that could go something like that. Because I want it to look as if he's just going pop with his wand. Okay, I'm thinking I need to cut that down a little bit, and it won't matter because this will hide most of it, and I don't mind if that's straddled on or off. And I'm going to trim down a bit on the side here, maybe get rid of that green, I'm thinking. So I'm going to go away and do that before I do anything else. As you can see, I've cut quite a large portion, just shy of a centimetre, off the right hand side here, and I think that's going to sit better on my piece. So let's just line up that tissue paper again. I'm going to bring that in there. Means that I can have more of the tissue paper showing on either side here. I had this more or less something like that, I think, last time. Okay, I'm wondering about, I'm going to pull this up higher, something like that. I could actually bring Mickey over to hide this portion here and have him like that. Numbers are still showing if I do that, and I could have that off to one side, maybe even higher, something like that. I'm actually wanting to have Mickey off the tag, so let me just pull him down a little bit like that, which means this has got to come down a little bit to hide this bottom edge of the image. This can more or less stay where it is. I don't mind that it's going off the tissue paper, bringing that down even more. I think I'm going to go with that. Maybe bring that over still more, and Mickey down a little bit more. I'm using Mickey's gown here on the left hand side to cover up the edge of this tag. Don't feel that it sits as nicely showing the tag there. As I mentioned originally, I was going to cut away that black outline, but I might leave that now. I am wondering about cutting this image off the bottom here to get rid of that line. So I'm just going to try covering that up and see what it looks like. And yep, I like it. So I'm going to trim away this bottom portion of this image. I'm loving this. It's working well, I think. Just want to see what that looks like with that pulled over some more. So I don't like this bit showing here, and the way to get around that is to literally trim down the side of that left hand side of that tag. And I'm going to glue that image onto my card here. So I'm just going to gauge how much space I've got top and bottom here. A little bit hard to decide whether to have Mickey here so that these numbers are well and truly showing, or to move him over to here, in which case cut away that. So I'm going to cut away that little piece of the tag. And I am going to have Mickey like that, so I'm going to go with that and glue him down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and give the same portion at the bottom at the top. Okay, so I've trimmed this off a little bit top and bottom. That's going to go on there like that. This is going to go on here, and I think I'm just going to have it like that, maybe up a little bit more, like that. Yeah, that's how I'm going to have it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to glue this onto my background. I'm just going to make a little mark here and here where I want it to go. My background's glued onto my working area, and I've rubbed out my border all the way around. I've got a little portion here that doesn't want to rub out. I'm not going to force it for the moment because this isn't absolutely dry, and I'm going to glue this in place and have that more or less like that on my page. But before I do that, I need to get the key in. So this is now nice and dry, and you've probably guessed Micky's got the perfect place here for a key to go. So I'm just going to try and position that on his finger. It's a little bit big as keys go, but I think it will work okay. Won't be too out of place. I can just wiggle it onto his finger. There we go. Something like that. So I'm just going to put some glue behind just to secure it. And now I'm going to glue this all in place. And there we go, everybody. That's my finish collage for this week. So bringing in the prompts, first off a key, got one down here, a building, my Cinderella's palace, white space. Well, I've gone with white space, but I've put some writing on the top of it, so I hope that is going to count as white space. Originally I thought I might just actually do some dry gesso round Mickey's wand, but I've decided that's okay, so I hope you do too. Something magical, well, that's my Mickey Mouse dressed up as a wizard here. An office supply, I've got my tag in the background there, and the bonus tissue paper, I've got my splattered tissue paper in the background there. So thank you so much as always, everybody, for watching. This one came together super quick. I'm not going to waste this though, even though I didn't even audition it on my piece. I felt it might be a bit too busy, but as I say, I'm certainly not going to be wasting it. I'll pop it to one side in my little folder that I have for Margarete Miller pieces, or in my scrap box, and no doubt you'll see that come out for another project. As always, I'll put some photographs at the end. Another reminder that I always put a list of all the products I use in the description box below the video. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you for popping by. Take care. Bye-bye now.